for who are the best pickups for each Big 12 football team from the transfer portal. Hang tight, I'll tell you. What is up, college sports fans, fellow members of Mountaineer Nation? This is Coos. Welcome to another edition of Coos' Corner, where I serve up college sports content just about every day. If that's for you, hit the red subscribe button if you haven't already. Give me the thumbs up if you like this video. Please check out the Coast to Coast CFB Network on Facebook and on Twitter. Now let's get on with the show. The last video I did, I told you who were the biggest losses to the transfer portal for each Big 12 football team. In this one, I'm going to tell you who the best pickups were for each team. And I'm going to start off with the TCU Horned Frogs. TCU lost running back Zach Evans to the portal, so they had to find somebody to replace him. One of those guys is running back Trelon Smith. Trelon Smith is coming over from Arkansas, where he played 2 seasons. Prior to that, he played 2 at Arizona State. In his 2 seasons with Arkansas, Smith had 253 carries for 1,308 yards, a 5.2 yards per carry average with 10 touchdowns. Smith comes over as the second leading rusher from Arkansas, behind only their quarterback. So as far as the running back room goes, he was the leader of the pack as far as statistics. Now Smith will be competing with Kendra Miller for the starting job, I assume, at TCU, along with another transfer from Louisiana named Imani Bailey. I expect those 3 to fight it out for the starting nod. Next team on the list, the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Now for Texas Tech, I picked an O-lineman by the name of Cade Briggs from the University of New Mexico. He played in 28 games at New Mexico over 3 seasons and started at left tackle for all of the 2021 season. Now the reason I picked an O-lineman for Texas Tech is because they're losing 4 out of their 5 O-linemen to graduation. So Texas Tech is needing depth at that position. They're bringing a couple over in the portal, and I think Briggs, in my opinion, will be the best of the group because of his previous experience at an FBS level school. Next team on the list, the Baylor Bears. The Baylor Bears are bringing a hometown kid back home. That hometown kid's name, Jaxon Player. He's a defensive lineman transferring over from Tulsa. He started 17 games at Tulsa and played in 30 games total over 4 seasons, where he stacked up 83 tackles, 17 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, a fumble recovery, and a forced fumble. Next on the list, Oklahoma State Cowboys. I looked really hard. Could not find where Oklahoma State has picked up anyone out of the transfer portal. Now, I find that a little concerning if I'm an Oklahoma State fan. I know they've got a good recruiting class coming in for 2022, so maybe Gundy's building the team that way. But they're losing quite a few guys, not only to the portal, but through graduation as well. But as of right now, I don't see anybody on there on the list. I looked at 24/7 Sports and some other media outlets, couldn't find anybody. I'm sure Mike Gundy's got something up his sleeve. Maybe he's going to bring in some guys on this upcoming signing period, which happens this week, actually, on February 2nd. Or maybe he's going to wait till after spring ball. We will see. Next on the list, my team, the West Virginia Mountaineers. West Virginia's already got several guys that have committed out of the portal. Coach Brown's probably going to add a few more. But as of right now, the one I think is going to make the biggest impact is probably running back Lyn-J Dixon. Lyn-J Dixon played at Clemson for 4 seasons. In his career, he's racked up 218 carries for 1,420 yards, or 6.5 per carry average, with 13 touchdowns. And he can also catch the ball out of the backfield. And what makes Lyn-J even more unique, he brings a national championship ring with him. He's going to be the only player on West Virginia's roster that has won a national championship. So he will know what it takes to get to the mountaintop, and hopefully he will bring that leadership and that knowledge with him to Morgantown. He's going to be filling the gap left by star running back Lady Brown, who left due to graduation and who's hoping to make it to the NFL. He was the majority of our offense last year, most productive player on the team offensively. Lyn-J is going to help fill that gap along with Tony Mathis and Justin Johnson and Jalen Anderson. Next on the list, the Iowa State Cyclones. The player I picked for Iowa State that I thought was the best pickup is linebacker Colby Reeder. Colby's got 1 year of eligibility left, and he's coming over from FCS Delaware. Reeder has 161 tackles, 18 tackles for loss, 7.5 sacks, 4 interceptions, and 7 pass deflections in 33 games for Delaware. Iowa State's losing a couple really good linebackers to graduation in Mike Rose and Jake Hummel. Reeder will help fill that gap. It's a position of need, and he's going to help fill it. Next team, the Kansas State Wildcats. Kansas State, this one's a no-brainer. Biggest transfer for them, quarterback Adrian Martinez. Adrian Martinez was a 4-year starter at the University of Nebraska. He's played in 39 games at the Power 5 level against Big Ten competition. He was 670 for 1,055 yards, a 63.5% completion percentage, 8,495 yards, 45 touchdowns, 30 interceptions, which is a lot. He also ran the ball 506 times for 2,288 yards for a 4.5 yard per carry average and 35 touchdowns on the ground. Martinez holds 16 school records for the Cornhuskers, including career total offense with 10,792 yards. He was also the first true freshman to start a season opener for Nebraska. Now, despite all those accolades, as I mentioned before, he does have 30 interceptions, which is a lot, and he has been prone to fumble the ball. So even though Martinez puts up good numbers, he's also been prone to make the big mistake. Can he clean that up in his 1 year of eligibility at Kansas State? Unique thing about Adrian Martinez's story, it's been said that he went to Kansas State because that's where his girlfriend goes. His girlfriend is also a student athlete at Kansas State, and some of the speculation is that he went there so he could spend a year with her. But either way, the Wildcats are getting a quarterback that will help fill the gap left by the graduating Skylar Thompson. Next team on the list, the Kansas Jayhawks. Kansas is getting a lot of guys out of the portal and have done a very good job of getting guys out of the portal. But to me, the biggest pickup for him to me is running back Kai Thomas, a true freshman out of Minnesota. The redshirt freshman out of Minnesota who in 2021 carried the ball 166 times for 824 yards, which is a 5 yard per carry average. Also had 6 touchdowns. I saw Kai Thomas firsthand in the Guaranteed Rate Bowl against my West Virginia Mountaineers, where he rushed 21 times for 144 yards and a touchdown. So I'm here to tell you Kai Thomas is a good running back. And West Virginia's rush defense is no slouch. They're pretty good. And he was still able to put up those kind of numbers. Now, behind Minnesota, he had that huge offensive line to run behind, one of the best in the country. He's not going to have that at Kansas. So let's see how good he can do, but I still think it's a really good pickup for the Jayhawks. The next two on the list have unique stories behind them that I'll take a minute to try to explain. But the first one of those two is Texas. Texas's biggest pickup is one of the most marquee names that was in the portal this year, and that's Quinn Ewers, the star quarterback transfer from Ohio State. Now, for those of you who may not know Quinn Ewers' story, I'm going to kind of give you the brief version. But he was a 5-star coming out of high school. He was the number 1 recruit in the class of 2022, one of the highest rated recruits ever in the modern era. But when Texas decided to fire Tom Herman, he decided to flip his commitment and flip to Ohio State. Well, not only did he flip to Ohio State, he also reclassified for the 2021 class, skipped his senior year of high school, and enrolled at Ohio State a year early. Not only did he do that so he could play early, he also did it to take advantage of NIL deals. Quinn Ewers signed a $1.4 million deal with GT Sports Marketing. It's a 3-year deal. Plus, he got a deal with a local car dealership there in Ohio. Now, the state of Texas doesn't allow high school students to profit from NIL deals, which is one of the reasons he decided to leave early. And so he enrolled at Ohio State in August of his what should have been his senior year of high school. It's a very interesting story about Ewers. Ewers went to Ohio State for 1 season, 2021, did not play any for the Buckeyes because we all know what happened. C.J. Stroud got the job, played great, never looked back. Ewers sees the writing on the wall, realizes he's not going to play at Ohio State, so he decides to try Texas again. And he's a Texas kid, so he's playing closer to home. So that's a huge pickup for Steve Sarkisian and the Longhorns. Last but not least, the Oklahoma Sooners. Oklahoma, we know, lost a lot of guys from the portal. They're also getting a lot of guys, too. They lost their top 2 quarterbacks, though, in Caleb Williams and Spencer Rattler. But they went out and got Dillon Gabriel from UCF. Dillon Gabriel played 3 years at UCF, played in 26 games. He was 554 of 913 passing, which was good for 60.7% completion percentage, 8,037 yards, 70 touchdowns to only 14 interceptions. So a great touchdown to interception ratio by Dillon Gabriel. So Oklahoma's getting an experienced quarterback who still has 2 years of eligibility remaining because of the COVID year, and a guy who can bring leadership to the team from day one. Now, the interesting story behind Dillon Gabriel, when Dillon Gabriel entered the portal in November, it took him a couple weeks to make his decision. He was going to go to UCLA. Well, reports have it that it was either the day of or the day before he was due to enroll in classes at UCLA, he changed his mind and decided to go to Oklahoma. So Dillon Gabriel decides to go to Oklahoma last minute and leaves UCLA hanging. Now, UCLA still has 4 quarterbacks on their roster, so I think they're going to be fine. But, man, how would you like to have been Chip Kelly on the end of that phone call? But Brent Venables is getting a good quarterback in Dillon Gabriel, and we'll see how good he can do in the Big 12, playing against what I feel is better competition, and see how he can do under Jeff Lebby's offense. Well, there you have it. There's my list of top transfer portal pickups for each Big 12 team. Let me know in the comments section if there's somebody I left off from your team that you think was a bigger pickup than the one I mentioned. I'm interested to hear your opinions. For those of you who are still with me, I want to remind you about the contest I'm having. I'm raffling off a replica football helmet of your favorite college team. It's a $150 prize. It's only $5 to get in the drawing. $5 to get you a raffle ticket. You can pay through PayPal, Venmo, or Cash App. Links to all those are in my description box. Or you can join my Patreon page and enter the raffle that way as well. It's actually a better deal to do it that way. Plus, you get other perks on top of it. And also, if you didn't get a chance to watch the video where I talked about the biggest portal losses for each team, you can check it out right here. I appreciate you tuning in. Q Country Roads.